Welcome back to Final Score. Keaton Homer along with you. So glad you could join us here on your Monday evening. How was that holiday weekend? Hopefully your July 4th weekend went very well. It was a fabulous weekend to be outside and enjoy Independence Day. Hopefully it went well for you. Last segment, I said Jermaine Wiggins was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I butchered his name. I don't know why I said Jermaine. His name is Andrew Wiggins. I knew that. I don't know, for whatever reason, I said Jermaine Wiggins. But Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving are the two biggest pieces in Cleveland right now, and the most lucrative pieces to maybe the Cleveland Cavaliers trying to sign LeBron James. Anyway, we'll move on from NBA basketball, get to the Major League Baseball scoreboard from yesterday. Crank back up the music here for the Major League Baseball scoreboard. Start off in Cleveland. The Cleveland Indians defeat the Kansas City Royals 4-1. The Milwaukee Brewers, who have been on a tear lately, lose actually to the Cincinnati Reds 4-2 in an NL Central matchup. The New York Mets take down the Texas Rangers 8-4. The Atlanta Braves lose for the first time in 9 games to the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-1. Baltimore in 12 innings defeats the Boston Red Sox by a run 7-6. Chicago loses to the Washington Nationals 2-1. The Philadelphia Phillies lose to the Pittsburgh Pirates 6-2. The Minnesota Twins lose to the New York Yankees 9-7. Seattle, who has been on a tear lately here in the past month or so, loses to Chicago by the final score of 1-0 yesterday. In St. Louis Cardinals lose to the Miami Marlins 8-4. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim defeat the Houston Astros 6-1. The Oakland A's win over the Toronto Blue Jays 4-2. Colorado loses to the Los Angeles Dodgers 8-2. San Francisco and San Diego 5-3. San Francisco wins that one. And finally, Detroit and Tampa Bay. In last night's Sunday Night Baseball matchup, the Tampa Bay Rays defeat the Detroit Tigers by the final score of 7-3. And that's a look at your Major League Baseball scoreboard from yesterday. Also in Major League Baseball, stay with this theme of MLB. The All-Star rosters have been released for both the American League and National League, and a pretty good selection of All-Stars for both. The one notable All-Star, Matt Wieters, the catcher for the Baltimore Orioles, is actually injured and will not play, even though he is listed as a starter for the American League team. Matt Wieters not going to play. Let's actually throw up the rosters for you. If you could, Charles, put this on the screen for everybody to take a look at. The AL starters. Of course, at first base, Miguel Cabrera, he's been putting on a show with his bat, his offense anyway, not necessarily his glove, but here in the past month and a half or so, he's raised his batting average a few points. Robinson Cano, since he's gone to Seattle from New York, he's stayed on pace with what he was doing with the New York Yankees. Derek Jeter, in his final year as a New York Yankee, makes it to the American League All-Star team. Probably more so just for his name rather than the production he's putting in right now, but Derek Jeter nevertheless making the All-Star team. Third baseman Josh Donaldson out of Oakland, Jose Bautista, Mike Trout, and Adam Jones, the outfielders for the American League, and Nelson Cruz will be the DH for the American League. The National League starters, Yadier Molina, Paul Goldschmidt at first base, Chase Utley at second base, Troy Tulowitzki at shortstop, Aramis Ramirez from Milwaukee, Andrew McCutchen, Carlos Gomez, and Yasiel Puig. I'm surprised to see Aramis Ramirez. He had fallen off the radar in Major League Baseball. Aramis Ramirez used to be, a big-time name. And he kind of faded off in the past couple of years, but has started to revive his career here in Milwaukee over the past couple of years. He's putting up great offensive numbers, along with Carlos Gomez. Carlos Gomez, early on in the season, was batting over like 320 or something like that. His batting average here in the past couple of weeks has dropped it down to actually like 299 or something like that, but still having a great year for the Milwaukee Brewers, who lead the NL Central right now. Yasiel Puig also making his first All-Star game start for the National League. We take a look at the pitchers for both the American League and National League. Start with the National League. Aroldis Chapman, Johnny Cueto, both out of Cincinnati. Zach Greinke, Clayton Kershaw, Craig Kimbrell, who, ever since he's become a full-time player in the major leagues, He has not missed an All-Star game, so 4 consecutive years for Craig Kimbrell making the All-Star team. Francisco Rodriguez as well, the closer for the Milwaukee Brewers, making the National League All-Star team. Tyson Ross, Jeff Samardzija. This is kind of interesting. Jeff Samardzija, although he was just traded to the Oakland Athletics, which is in the American League, will be playing in the National League for the Chicago Cubs for the All-Star game. How weird is that? I wonder if that has ever happened, where a player, as we near the All-Star break and the All-Star game, has been traded from one league to the other, but still has played for his former team. So in this case, Jeff Samardzija, the pitcher for, or who was for the Chicago Cubs, traded to the Oakland A's in the American League, who actually had a phenomenal outing the other night. Samardzija, I think on Saturday against Toronto, shut them down. And will actually, even though he currently plays for the Oakland Athletics, be representing the Chicago Cubs in the National League. That'll be interesting. I'll be curious to see how that works. Julio Trahan, the relief pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, also Jordan Zimmerman as well for the Washington Nationals. You take a look at the pitching staff for the American League. Mark Burley, Yu Darvish for the Texas Rangers, Sean Doolittle, Felix Hernandez. He will probably get the start for the American League. I would be surprised if somebody else started for the American League. Greg Holland, Scott Kazmir, John Lester, Glenn Perkins, David Price. That's a kind of an interesting selection. David Price not having the best season for the Tampa Bay Rays this year, but probably their lone person that's at least doing something for the Tampa Bay Rays this season so far anyway. Trying to get it turned around down there in Tampa Bay. Max Scherzer out of Detroit, and Masahiro Tanaka for the New York Yankees, rounding out the pitching for the American League. You can take a look at the AL reserves. You can go to MLB.com or CBS Sports, any of the sports websites. They have the rosters up right now for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. All right, Charles, if you could throw up the graphic there for our predictions. Start a new segment here on Final Score. Predict some Major League Baseball games. And once we get into football season as well, we'll start predicting high school, college, and NFL games as well. But since Major League Baseball, lone sport going on right now, predict a few games here. Detroit and Los Angeles. I think the Detroit Tigers with Verlander on the hill tomorrow. These are tomorrow's games, by the way. Will be very, very tough, and I expect the Detroit Tigers to take down the Dodgers tomorrow in Detroit. Atlanta, who has been on a roll lately, they have won 9 out of the last 10 games, taking on the New York Mets and Queens tomorrow. Julio Trahan on the hill, 2.29 ERA, going against a New York Mets team that has not been very strong, that's for sure, especially offensively. I expect the Atlanta Braves to take down New York Mets. The Boston Red Sox, I think, will defeat the Chicago White Sox tomorrow in Boston. Other couple of games, Oakland and San Francisco. I think the Oakland A's, who have been out on a tear lately, 55-33 overall record. I think they'll win the Battle of the Bay there tomorrow. And also Seattle and Minnesota. I think the Seattle Mariners will take down the Minnesota Twins tomorrow. All these games will be posted on our Facebook page. You go to facebook.com/FinalScoreAK, and it'll take you right to our Facebook page. You can take a look at my picks for those 5 games, and including other picks as well. Just go to our Facebook page, and you can check out my predictions. All right, we'll take a quick break, come back, and I'll talk about how the Lord of the Rings and NASCAR are intertwined after this weekend. And also, an interesting thing for Minnesota Twins fans at their stadium. I don't agree with what they're doing at the Twins Stadium and how fans have easier access now to beer. We'll get to that in a moment. You're watching Final Score.